Hello, my educator family. Welcome to Strategy Sunday, another one. And this month, we are in the month of April, and so we are celebrating technology all month long. So, this new series is on technology, and we'll be hearing from trained individuals in the field, we'll be hearing from master teachers, we'll be hearing from local teachers in the classroom how it is with them for technology. And so we'll be providing you with practical tips as to how you can plan your lessons to meet the needs of your students in your classroom as you seek to position them for success and as you seek to empower yourself in the craft of teaching, learning all that you can. We're operating in a new normal, and so technology is what is being utilized. Virtually, we have to be online teaching the students. And so today we have with us Mrs. Cadabbra Bernard-Brown, who is a school psychologist operating in Indiana, USA. And so she'll be sharing with us information, practical tips on the Assure model. So I'm sure that you'd have heard about the Assure model, whether it was from university, teachers college, your own research. And so today she'll be sharing with us on the topic use of the Assure model in the classroom. Let's have her.
Hello, educators. Thank you so much for joining me this week for a little talk on the Assure model. Thank you, Mrs. Boswell-Lewis, for the opportunity to share with your community on this model that allows us to incorporate technology and media in teaching. I just want to say that the Assure model was originally designed for use in a face-to-face setting, but I'm going to assume that because we're all teaching at home right now, that it would be better for me to contextualize the Assure model against that context. Okay, so let's jump in. The Assure model is built on the constructivism theory, which says that students need to be actively involved in the teaching and learning process and that a lot of interaction should take place. Okay, the Assure model has 6 steps. Analyze learners, state objectives, select methods, media, and materials, utilize that which you have selected, require learner participation, and evaluate and revise. Let's look at what each of these would look like. Step one, you're going to analyze your learners. What are the characteristics of your learners that you need to consider as you develop your lesson? How are their literacy and numeracy skills? How many boys and girls do you have in your class? What are their social and emotional skills, their learning styles? All of that, this nice little list. Think about how they will receive your lesson. Step number two, state your objectives. And we all know about Bloom's taxonomy. Is your student, what are your students going to learn and what will they do to get to that learning goal? And of course, we always want to be thinking at the higher level of Bloom's taxonomy. Step number three, you're going to select your methods, media, and materials. In selecting, you might want to use what is available. No need to reinvent the wheel or modify what is available. And if you just cannot find anything that is going to be appealing to your learners, go right ahead and create something new. As you do that, though, think about the function. How will this thing work for accomplishing the goals and the objectives that you have set? Okay, don't get carried away with all the new things and the shiny things. Think about the function. All right, and as you think about the function, here are some things that you should probably consider. Will these methods, media, and materials allow you to facilitate a discussion, deliver your lesson, allow students to practice, allow them to submit work? Will it be a feedback tool? These are just some of the functions that you can think of. All right. Step number four, how will you implement these media and materials and how will you use the method? All right. For you to think about that, you have to go through these 5 steps. You have to preview the materials, prepare them, prepare the environment as well, prepare your learners, and provide experiences. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into some of this. I'm just giving an overview right this minute. Step number five, require learner participation. Okay? In step number five, you want to think about how you're going to get each learner in the class to participate, how you're going to get the entire class to participate, how they're going to demonstrate their learning, and how feedback is going to take place, not just from the learner, but from you as well. Now, in order For you to require learner participation, I'm sorry, let me move my picture around. For you to require learner participation, you have to think about how you're going to engage the students. Are you going to engage them in icebreakers to open your class? Are you going to tell a joke, tell a story? Will you have class discussions? How about polling? That's a good way of getting them to remain engaged throughout the session. Asking them to create questions that the entire class will answer. Creating videos or PowerPoints or infographics or TikToks or YouTube, whatever it is. Are they going to play games? Or you can actually have them do a case study, solve a problem. And finally, step number 6, which is to evaluate your lesson. Always, always do this. What went well? What didn't go so well? Were your objectives met? How do you know that you met your objectives? Were the things you chose, the media materials, were they helpful? Were they effective? How did the learners respond to the lesson that you taught? And what would you do differently? There's always something to do differently because no lesson works perfectly for every class. And one lesson and the lesson that can work for one class might not work for another class. Of course, that's if you teach at the high school level. Now, what does the Ashore model look like in a practical sense? Let me walk with you through a language arts lesson on nouns. Okay? Step 1, I'm going to analyze my learners. I'm choosing to teach a 7th grade class that has about 60% boys. They're at the frustration or reading level, which means that if you gave them a passage to read, they would not be able to read up to 90% of the words in that passage. They're visual and tactile learners. They like to see things, they like to touch things, but hey, we're online. So how do we do that? They are in the inner city and they are from lower class homes. All right, that's my context. So my step number 2 is that I'm going to state my objectives. In stating my objectives, I am going to want my students to be able to define a noun and to differentiate between a proper and a common noun. Now, assume that I've already taught what a noun is and I've already taught what a common noun is. And students have a general idea of nouns. And these are 7th graders. They would have been introduced to this in primary school. But we know that in 7th grade, many times they've forgotten what they've learned. So we have to teach it like it's a brand new lesson. Step number 3, I'm selecting my methods, media, and materials. I am going to use direct instruction and gaming as my teaching method. And for my materials, I have quite a few things here. I want a PowerPoint. I'm going to use a kind of academic video. I want to play a game. Okay, it's boys. Jeopardy to be specific. I want them to have paper and pencil ready. It's a good thing for me to have a list of examples of proper and common nouns. I'm going to use a menu of activities and my name cards. In step number 4, I'm going to go through the process of preparing to provide my learners with the experience. So in preparing, the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to go and look for a Khan Academy video. And I'm going to watch the video to ensure that the content of the video is what I want. If it is not what I want, I have to go in search of something else. But the content of this video looks good, so I'm going to put that aside. Then I'm going to look for a Google slide online. If somebody has already done it, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, but I might want to modify this because the pictures on this look to be primary level. Okay, so I might want to change them around to look like, a 7th grader would be able to appreciate the images on it, but the content is fine. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to look for a Jeopardy template that is on Google side, and I'm going to go ahead and adjust the categories. This is a class of mostly boys and girls who live in the inner city and who have challenges with reading. Okay, so I might want to choose to do some of the reading. This is a 7th grade class. This is not a reading class, it's a language arts class. And I might also want to consider that as the categories get larger, the questions might become a little bit more challenging. So for a category 100, I might just put a word in it and ask them to identify whether or not that's a proper or common noun. And for category 500, I might put a sentence in and ask whomever chooses to identify both the proper and the common noun. So it gives them a little bit more to think of. Or I could have them create sentences at the 500 level. But it depends on what your class is like. You would need to be the judge of that. Then I'm going to create a menu of activities. And this menu of activities will appeal to different kinds of learners. So for this first one, the students have the option of creating a jingle with proper and common nouns, and it has to have examples in it, and they can upload this to TikTok because jingles are very short. Or they can create a collage. This is maybe for students who are introverted, so they're just going to be looking for pictures and creating kind of like a digital chart or a physical chart. But since we're online, a digital chart or an infographic. The students can record themselves identifying proper and common nouns around the house. again, we're thinking of the fact that we're in a pandemic. How can, we adjust it so that it can be still interesting and relevant, but educational? And for students who like music, find a teacher approved song, and of course the teacher has to approve this, because we know that some of our students have some interesting taste in music. A teacher approved song, and they're going to identify all the proper and common nouns in this. And you can decide how you want them to submit this, if they're going to copy and paste the lyrics and highlight on whatever it is and then submit that. So that's what I'm choosing to do for my methods and materials. Then I'm going to go to continue with step number 4. I'm going to prepare my environment. So for example, I can, if I'm using Google Classroom, I'm uploading the link to the video or the video itself. I'm uploading the Google Slides with my lecture notes. I'm uploading the menu with the activities. If I'm teaching from home, I'm making sure that the physical space at home is conducive to teaching. There's not a lot of distractions and so on. When I'm teaching the class and the students come online, in order to prepare them, I might start off with something motivational just to get them in the frame of mind. I might ask them to make sure that they have paper and pencil ready. That's what is involved in preparing the learners. Then I'm going to provide them with the experience, which takes me to step number 5, requiring learner participation. So here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to revise with the PowerPoint what's a noun, what's a common noun. Then I'm going to introduce the new concept of a proper noun using the video. Then I might have them do guided practice. There are different options that I could use. I could have them give examples, have each student give an example, because remember, each student needs to participate as well as the whole class. So I'll have each student give an example, and then the rest of the class will vote on whether or not they think it's right. So one student might say, okay, Shauna K is a proper noun, and the class will vote with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Or I can have them create little cards like this. So one side has a P on it and the other side has a C on it. I could give them examples. So I will say the Blue Mountains, and then the class will vote by putting their cards up. Is it a common noun or a proper noun? And that will allow me to see, and that they will be able to see the responses of other students. Okay. So I can also use name cards. So I can use name cards, have all their names on a stack of cards. And as I give examples, and then I give them a second to think, and then I pull a card, and whichever name comes up, that's the student who will give a response. So different ways. And of course, that is all guided practice. And then feedback with correction, because remember, I'm using direct instruction, is my Jeopardy game, which I've already shown you. And then to wrap up the lesson and to ensure that they get that individual practice and I can get something to grade, I will show them this menu of activities, and students will choose what they want to do. And of course, this menu of activities will be accompanied by a rubric. It doesn't have to be anything big and fancy, but students must know what is expected of them. And then step number 6 is that I'm going to evaluate the lesson. I'm going to reflect on how it went. Did students seem to respond well to the lesson? Were they actively engaged? What were some of the answers that I got? Did it go well? Did the Jeopardy work out? Did it cause too much problems? So I'm just asking myself those questions. I can also look at how students, the kind of work I got from the activities that they did on the menu. Or I can even ask them to answer 2 Google form questions. What did you like about the lesson? What didn't you like about the lesson? And that could give me some information for how I will proceed. Okay, so this is how I would apply the Assure model to a simple language arts lesson on nouns. Now, when you think about the fact that teaching online nowadays is rough stuff, educators, as I wrap this up, I just want to encourage you. Rita Pierce is one of my favorite persons. She has passed away, but she has a TED talk that I absolutely love. And I just want to encourage you with one of her quotes. We're educators. We're born to make a difference. Educators, you can do this. You can do this. Have a great week and walk good.
My educator family, Wasn't that wonderful? Oh, yes, indeed. I learned a lot from that pep session just now with Mrs. Cadabbra Bernard-Brown. And I'm sure you educators watching, you can say surely it was good for you to have listening today. And so if you have heard this video today and you like the content and you would like to get more content, more videos of this similar nature, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Press the notification button so that when we post on a Sunday or on a Thursday, you'll be able to get that notification and you'll be able to watch the video. We also invite you to share the video, to share the subscription with your colleagues, whether it's a teacher, a friend, even a parent could do well with the information that we're sharing with you right here from Strategic Educational Consultancy Services. And so I want to encourage you educators, as Mrs. Bernard-Brown has encouraged you to utilize the Assure model to the full efficiency for the students. I want to say to you today, empower yourselves in this new knowledge, practice it, it becomes a habit, and so you'll be able to reap the success. I am Carla Boswell-Lewis, Director for Strategic Educational Consultancy Services, and my sole mission is here to empower you, educators. Have a great week ahead and enjoy your break.